I don't think I can say it better than this comment that came in as the intro music was playing from Riley. Riley says, "The good news is we now have so much time to talk about everything else." Indeed we do. Apparently that turn to a larger slice of the pie going to everything else is coming much sooner than anticipated. This is Everything Else. I am Joshua Brisco. It's brought to you by KC Cannabis Company. Hell of a day for the defense. Chris Jones did it again. Pass rush had a pretty good second half. Great second half, really. What else could you ask for? And yet, there is, as is the case with every one of the Chiefs' 7 losses this year, a sentence I just couldn't assume I was going to say at any point this season, or any season anytime soon. As is the case in all of the 7 losses, plenty of blame can go around to plenty of places. And I understand that there is vitriol in the 4th down decision. I understand that there is rightful season-long frustration with the pass rush. And I know, after going and looking at the box score, unfortunately, I think I know what's going to be said about Patrick Mahomes' game last night. But man, I thought this as the game was going on. I thought this throughout the post-game show. I thought this driving home in silence. I thought this laying in bed staring at the ceiling. I woke up this morning thinking about this. I think the thing that is the most crushingly frustrating from that game last night is that you got way more than enough from the Chiefs defense, and you got some over my dead body glimpses from Patrick Mahomes captaining an offense that just let him down. When the Chiefs had must-have moments, as has been the case so many times this season, they couldn't do it. And look, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this today. I just want to set the fact at the beginning, and then we can talk about it as the day goes on, as the weeks go on, whatever. They're not out of playoff contention. The Colts are falling apart. The Chargers are falling apart. Go Birds tonight, I guess. But this was all true last week. We talked about a lot of the ways the season is certainly not over, was certainly not over, but you needed to start that season instantly. They fumbled through that game, not literally, I suppose, one of the things we didn't get. They fumbled and stumbled through that game last night and let another opportunity go by. And at this point, I don't know that it makes a lot of sense to talk about what you need the Chargers or the Colts or the Jags or whoever to do the rest of the way when you can't get out of your own way. And that was the story. I'm going to read this box score line and just see if this blows your mind like it does to me. Patrick Mahomes, 14 for 33 for 160, 4.8 average, no touchdowns, 3 picks, 2 sacks, a 19.7 QBR, and a 19.8 quarterback rating. I've never seen anything like that from Mahomes. His advanced stats are also bad. But I'll tell you what, that is a heck of an opportunity for asking your favorite friends and family, did you watch the game? I think Next Gen Stats ended up putting the drops at 5. I think Matty Lane got to 8 or 9. And I think it's probably on the higher end when you're talking about NFL pass catchers who you expect the best from. It's cruel, honestly, that the 2 guys that had the most crushing drops at the end of the game were Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice. It's cruel because Travis Kelce had that happen at the beginning of the season, and it kind of set this tone. And it's cruel for Rashee Rice because he has helped dig this team out of holes, even after missing the first 6 games. Obviously, the suspension, the injury last year, where it seems like there was an opportunity for the Rice-Kelce duo to be the thing that elevated this offense back into being the kind of unit that takes a team back to the Super Bowl. not needing an incredible effort from the defense, not needing a terribly excellent running game. That the Rice-Kelce combo in 2025, healthy and with a better version of Travis Kelce than we saw last year, with the other weapons, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, really hitting his stride, Tyquan Thornton showing those glimpses early in the year. The belief and the idea behind all of this was that that was going to add up to not just a better offense, but an easier one. Easier for Patrick Mahomes, easier to navigate, more options at more depth levels. And that never came to fruition. Ultimately, that system failed too many times. Andy Reid was telling you the truth when he said, hey, we're really close. Hey, it's just mistakes here or there. Hey, we're just a play off, a tick off. That was true. It's always been true. It didn't matter because they didn't clean it up. They never got back on the right page. It happened again. The mistakes snowball. The defense gives you everything you could ask for. And your stars give you brutal drops. Your head coach makes a decision that we will spend some time talking about here. So I feel like I've maybe got a little bit of an unconventional angle on it, but then ultimately I end up back at the same place that everybody else is in right now, including Andy Reid from him talking post-game. We've got two back-to-back comments here that I kind of like. D-Fizz says we have to be Zen now. The Chiefs can't hurt us anymore. Jackie Moon says, pay attention to how I didn't troll back. I'm Zen now, man. Or I'm Zen man now. I felt a little bit of that same way last night. I think I got a little bit more frustrated again this morning because I went back and rewatched some specific plays and got angry about things all over again. And I kind of thought I honestly might not get to the Zen take of it all until Friday, maybe next Monday. I think we'll probably have a longer conversation about acceptance. But as much as I wanted every chance for this team to make the playoffs, and as much as I want them to beat the Chargers next week and to keep that hope alive, as much as maybe we get to week 18 where Broncos-Chargers is the game that decides if the Chiefs could make it or not. As much as I really wanted all of that to play out that way, and still do, I do feel like there's a little bit less talking yourself into it that you need to do right now. And you can just kind of acknowledge that for a lot of reasons, and for reasons that can't happen again next year, but for a lot of reasons, this was the underwhelming, maybe this was the Super Bowl hangover season that we never got before. I haven't even thought about this until this exact moment, but what's the stat about teams who lose the Super Bowl failing to make the playoffs the next year? I mean, that's the kind of thing that became conventional wisdom. It's extremely hard to get to the mountaintop multiple times in a row. The Chiefs win one Super Bowl, they lose a Super Bowl, they win two in a row, then lose the third. They're in the AFC Championship game every single year. This is the first time they're not going to win the AFC West in a decade. None of this is our excuses, and none of this is me, I don't know, feeling good about anything. But it is stuff that I'm thinking about. You went to 3 straight Super Bowls and missed the playoffs the next year, if it does in fact end that way. Obviously, that's a deal everyone's taking 1,000,000 times out of 1,000,000, or as Tucker said back earlier in this show's early history, 9 times out of 9. It's not a bad deal. It's a bad season. It's a tough draw. It's some frustrating shortcomings. Again, stuff that should not have gone this way. This didn't have to happen. We know that because it didn't happen in years past. But so many of those fine line issues come back to bite you time and time and time again, and you have stars that ultimately don't look like stars in the brightest moments. Not because Travis Kelce's not the greatest tight end of all time. He is. Not because I think Rashee Rice has been utterly overinflated. I don't think that's true. Sometimes your guys don't make the play, and you pay for it. That just happened too much this year. So let's talk about the fourth down play call. Because I'm with everybody that I was shocked that they kept the offense on the field, and when they didn't get it, it was tough to see that going any other way. The defense, well, I'll just work through it here, okay? So it's 4th and 1 from the Chiefs' 31. They go for it. They pass the ball. They don't get it. The Chiefs' defense started that second half by forcing 4 consecutive 3-and-outs. The Texans' next drive, miraculously, 6 plays. The Chiefs allowed 17 total yards across those 5 possessions. It felt like the Colts game, where the defense was just going to keep giving the ball back to the offense, back to Patrick Mahomes. As many times as you need it, man, as many chances as you need, we're going to keep giving you the football. And the first time the defense broke was because they were defending a 30-yard football field. Most of you persistent vibe hunters at this point probably know I'm in the camp of wanting to be more aggressive on 4th down more often. I do care about the analytics. I do care what the numbers say. I think that can help you make educated decisions on the whole. The reason I was stunned that they went for it is because early, and by the way, the 4th down bots and the models there say go on 4th and 1 from your own 31 in that situation, tied 10-10, okay? I was stunned the Chiefs were going because earlier they punted on 4th and 10 from the 49, but there was running into the kicker on Matt Araiza. It would have been 4th and 5 from the Houston 44. They declined the penalty. They got a good punt. They declined the penalty, said we're going to play field position. They had 4th and 4 from their own 44 with about 5.5 minutes left in the third quarter. They punted. Last week versus Dallas, 4th and 5 from the Dallas 49. 4th and 4 from the Dallas 44. Against Houston, they kicked a field goal on 4th and 2 from the 18 to tie it 10-10 instead of trying to take a 14-10 lead there after Harrison Butker had already doinked a field goal earlier. If the Chiefs were always listening to the model, if they were just a analytically by-the-book team, I think I'd have no choice but to sit here and take my medicine on the decision to go for it on 4th and 1 at the 31. But they're not, obviously. I mean, every time Andy Reid talks about a 4th down decision, and this is his prerogative, it's about feel, his gut feeling. He's coached a lot of football. He's got a good gut feeling for when to go for it on 4th down. Cool. If there was ever a situation when my gut feeling was punt this sucker away, even though I want the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands as much as possible, even with Kareem Hunt, a 4th and 1 conversion machine. He turns 4th and 1 into first downs. It's what he does. If there's ever a situation where the game situation or the game flow or the feel, these kind of amorphous, vibey kind of things, if there's ever a time for that to come into play, that was the situation, right? Again, I was surprised he would have considered going for it there because it felt like the Chiefs' best chance at scoring again was Chris Jones strip sacking CJ Stroud deep in their own territory. Then you have the play call. Now look, I'm trying to be really proactive here because I understand how hypocritical we can all be on a microphone separated by weeks or months or years. It's very hard to be ideologically consistent and not just play the result, okay? I really don't just want to play the result. Kareem Hunt has been more effective than the tush push this year. I think he was, 3 for 3 in this game already. One of them being the shotgun run that turned into a touchdown when he bounced off Danielle Hunter and made it happen himself, despite the fact that the Chiefs' offensive line was having some tough goes of it. We will talk about the bright spots, but overall, tons of pressure on Patrick Mahomes, and that 4th down that turned into a touchdown was about Kareem Hunt as much as it was about anything. But 4th and 1, and Kareem Hunt is on the field, essentially lined up as a tight end on the left side. I think he was not actually covering the tackle. I can't remember for sure. But he's up near the line of scrimmage. Tight left. Hollywood Brown goes and runs a little orbit motion kind of thing, and maybe he should have gotten the ball, though he didn't get great depth on that route after the fact. This would have been a time for me when being an offense that can, not has to, but can rely on an under-center running game would have been actually more surprising, a better chance to catch the defense off guard than what we actually saw play out there. Because if you're under center with Kareem Hunt, they are terrified that Kareem Hunt is just going to do the thing that gets the first down and keeps you moving. Now, I will note, 4th and 1 from your own 31 is a fresh set of downs. It's not guaranteeing you anything. It's not a scoring play. It's not getting you into field goal range, so we'll see. But Kareem Hunt is the biggest threat there based on what he's done this season and what he had done in that game. And I would have been completely okay with a play-action fake to Kareem Hunt under center, make the Texans sell out, and then see if you can have somebody leaking out behind a linebacker that takes one step forward because he's afraid of Kareem Hunt doing the thing he does so well. To do it out of empty, that kind of becomes sort of Hollywood in the background again. He's just running the motion. It would have been his first carry as a Chief, I believe, if they would have handed him the ball out of that. It's a weird play call. It's a weird decision. Everyone else is talking about it, I know. Those are my 2 cents. They also should never have been in that position. I know we got butterfly wings here and everything, but if things play out the way that they did after Harrison Butker's doink, but instead it goes through the uprights where most kickers put it, the highest paid kicker in the NFL doinks a 43-yard field goal off the upright. If that goes in, it's 13-0 at that point. There's no chance Andy Reid goes for it on 4th and 1 at their own 31, up by 3 at that point. At that point, you could punt on 1st down. Just try to get the Texans deep in their own territory and set Chris Jones loose. Don't punt on 1st down. Just take a knee and run the play clock so Chris Jones can catch his breath. He was having an unbelievable game and an unbelievable half, an unbelievable sequence, and it didn't matter. But it's another instance of just nobody, not nobody, I'm just talking about Chris Jones. It's an instance of too many people making mistakes as opposed to doing the thing they're supposed to do. Not superhuman stuff. I'm not asking Rashee Rice to go for 250 yards. Well, you know, if he just would have had 20 catches in this game, everything would have been fine. Just if you do your job without making those mistakes and those self-inflicted wounds that change the tenor of the game entirely. I know this is salt in the wound here. I know it's all still pretty fresh. I just saw this before the show and thought it was interesting. Josh Dubow of the AP tweeted, Harrison Butker's 8 missed kicks, 4 field goals, 4 extra points, are tied for the most in the NFL with Joshua Carty and Blake Grupe. Both Carty and Grupe have been released. Butker is the highest paid kicker in the NFL. He has a $7.3 million cap hit next year. Just the facts. That's just where they're at right now. And all of this happens while the defense is having a remarkable half of football. And, honestly, they were better in the first half than you remember. Do you know why? Because holding on Noel Williams. I've been consistent on this one. I know I've been consistent on this one. Losers complain about the referees. That's what happens. But guess what? The Chiefs were yesterday. So I get to complain. Noel Williams gets called for that hold at the line of scrimmage, and his guy just falls down. Like, you get that yard of jostling. I guess if you just grab the guy and swing him to the ground, it's probably a penalty regardless. I get it. That's not what happened at all. Not close to what happened. That holding penalty, air quotes, holding penalty on Noel Williams was what kept that Houston touchdown drive alive. If that flag does not get thrown an abysmal call. Not because the refs hate the Chiefs, but because refereeing in the NFL is in a disastrous place right now, as it has been since we got HD TVs and good instant replay. Since we've been able to see what's happening, they have an impossibly difficult job. The NFL does not use nearly enough tools to make their job easier. And also, by the way, replay assist can be wrong now. So that's cool. I didn't know that was allowed. I didn't know that could happen. I'm glad Andy threw the challenge flag. And then the refs just got together and went, oops, hey, sorry, guys. We looked at it again. Our bad. I think in his post-game presser, Andy said they goofed. Very kind. Don't get fined. They goofed. Anyway, after they goofed that Noel Williams penalty, that was third down. It was incomplete. The Chiefs were getting the ball back. They didn't. Free set of downs. And look, hey, again, great teams overcome that stuff. The Chiefs have overcome a lot of penalties over the course of their dynastic run here. But you overcome those when you need to because the referee made a mistake. The second touchdown drive was 31 yards, and that's the game! Those are the two touchdown drives the Chiefs defense gave up. It is so disappointing after the Chiefs defense had those issues against the Cowboys. And I do have a theory on that, by the way. We'll come back around. After that day against the Cowboys, the Chiefs defense is back in fourth quarter overtime Colts mode, and the offense just can't capitalize, can't cash those checks ever. Team with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, man. It's really frustrating. We'll take our break here in a second. We'll bring Tucker in. I want to talk about some of the bizarre personnel things. Not all of them are the reason the Chiefs are 6-7, but just some stuff that has stood out to me as of late. And we've got a sad fans. Goodness, do we have a sad fans? I haven't heard it. I assume it's going to be a doozy. We'll hear that. Plus, we have a correction from Friday's show that has been really itching at me since Friday's show. So we'll get to that here in just a moment. But first, let me tell you about our friends at Kansas City Cannabis. You can check them out online at kccannabis.com, and they've got a special deal happening starting on December 13th. In fact, they've got a whole series of deals starting December 13th. From December 13th through the 24th, they have 12 days of Christmas sales. Every day, a different sale. You can check out their website, kccannabis.com, for each day's sales. That's really fun. It's going to be an unbelievable list of deals. They had great deals on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Well, the deals just keep coming. And they've been awesome to work with. Great for us to have them on board. So you can check them out there. They got 5 KC area locations: KC North, Blue Springs, Kearney, Excelsior, and Lottawanna. They're locally owned. They're community rooted. They're a part of Kansas City. So if you're looking for a dispensary to check out, they're the one that I'll point you to every single time. 12 days of Christmas beginning on December 13th. Check out the deals online at kccannabis.com.
They're great. Thanks, guys.
Some gifts are nice.
Oh, a Swiss Army knife.
Some gifts are thoughtful. And some gifts light up the whole season. Share the joy of Missouri-made quality this season. From December 13th to the 24th, join us for 12 days of cheer.
Tucker, I can't say I'm feeling 12 days of cheer myself right now. And to be honest, this is not something I think we had any chance of imagining back in early September. I've said this a few times now, I think, but if you would have told me the Chiefs were 6-6, 6-7, not winning the AFC West, missing the wild card, I know the kids are going to love the Chiefs being 6-7. Thank you for that. I would have asked you what week Patrick Mahomes got hurt in, and I would have assumed the early half of the season by how all of this has gone. I want to run through a bunch of things, many of which you've already talked about on that football show. A great edition of that in the KCSN Chiefs feed right now with you and Matt Verderam. How are you feeling here? That was a late night record for you, a post-game late night for you as well. How are you feeling this morning with the Chiefs season not looking good?
Yeah, I don't feel great, I'll be honest. I think Matt and I started recording about 12:30. Actually, it's probably pretty close to 1 when we started recording, now that I think about it. I think we hopped on the call around 12:30. It's probably pretty close to 1. Because sometimes, Matt and I have to get our wiggles out before we actually start recording because
100%.
some things don't need to be said when the red button's on. And you got
And the idea that Verderam put a filter on before you started recording is incredible.
Yeah. So it was a good show. When we got to the end of it, it was just like, wow, we are both just like mentally spent in terms of like how like it's the Shannon. I tweeted this clip out when I quote tweeted the promotion of the podcast. It's the Shannon Sharp clip where he said, "When you lay your head on the pillow, I just want you to know I gave you everything I had." That's what it was.
I didn't
for
see
that.
That's very funny.
Yeah, for that football show. Yeah, I don't feel great, Josh. And we kind of talked about this on Friday, and we talked about this on Monday, and I feel like we've talked about this really since
Probably
the bye
Friday,
week.
and then Monday, and then Friday, and then Monday.
Yeah, and it sucks what's going on with the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes is out there and he is playing and he's upright. I don't want to say he's healthy because like he's clearly dealing with a knee issue and he's leading the team in rushing this year, not this year, but this game.
Oh, it's closer than you'd like.
Yeah, he's
second, right? He's got to be second.
Oh, there's no way he's not second.
I'm on it. Don't worry about it.
It is awful when you think about it in the construction of this team. It's
okay. Do you want me to just read it?
Yeah, just rip it off.
It's not gonna make you feel better. So Kareem Hunt, 142 carries, 545 yards, 3.8 yards per carry. Patrick Mahomes, 62 carries, 407 yards, 6.6 yards per carry. Of course, he is leading the team in yards per carry for anybody over 10. As Xavier Worthy has 9 carries, averaging a little under 10 yards a carry.
Yeah. Really, when it came to the conclusion last night, Josh, I don't know, because I know you're watching the game. You got a different setup there where you're listening to the broadcast as well as watching the game on a couple different feeds. To me, we've had this conversation a lot of this team just seems like they lack juice. There is a certain je ne sais quoi about this team that they have had in the years past. They don't have it this year. Yep. I'm watching the game. I'm not out there on the sidelines. I'm not out there in the stadium. But when I was there for the Colts game, it didn't seem like there was a ton of juice there. It didn't seem like there was a ton of juice coming from your TV on Thanksgiving.
It seems like Chris Jones wrung that juice out both against the Colts and against the Texans.
And yesterday was nothing. It was no different than any of that. And that's what is so. I think that's what's so disheartening to me is that Adifa says in the chat, I agree with TFS, that football show. They need some players that are hungry. They need some dogs. Like they've got a grand total of 2 dogs on that team of a 53-man roster. It is Patrick Mahomes, it is Chris Jones. Those are 2 dogs that they have on there. Nobody else is hungry. Hungry dogs run faster, Josh, and they got no hungry dogs on their team. Offense, defense. Remember, you think back to those Super Bowl teams, the Frank Clark, that generation of reshaping how that defense looked. You had Frank Clark, you had Tyrann Mathieu. Those guys reinvigorated that defense. We
needed the Chiefs to have a defender who might say something irresponsible to a fan on Twitter after the game.
Justin Reed is not there anymore either. Like he would do the same thing. Like that's what you're missing. He had a different vibe
about it, but he does pass. You're right, absolutely.
He did. But now you look at the defense. You look at this. Actually, hang on. You look at this team. Who's getting on anybody? I'm talking about coaching staff on down. There's nobody getting on anybody here. I know that like there's this like, excuse my language. There's a fetish about like Eric Bieniemy, about like his like coaching style. But this is something they're clearly lacking. There's nothing, like, there's no juice. There's nothing there. There's a lack of energy, very prevalent. When I'm sitting on my couch, I can tell, like, wow, these guys, Travis Kelce, I know that there was a shot of him at the end of the game, like, where he was really upset. I mean, midway through the game, it looked like he was about to fall asleep. Like he look, as Werner said in the show, he looked like Trump or Biden during a cabinet meeting. Like, what are we doing, man? Like, you are playing for your playoff life. You are playing for the rest of the season, and ain't nobody got no juice. And that is a very frustrating thing for me to see. I know that, like, look, I think Werner said they're fat cats, and I think that's kind of a good way to put it.
Yeah.
They're fed. Man, this horse is fed, and you can't feed a fed horse, you know?
That's the God's honest truth. I do think there's a little something to that where, like, look, I think I end up, like, in general, not this specific conversation, but generally, I end up pushing back on some of that because I don't want Nick Sirianni. And I also don't subscribe to the theory that the more you yell at a high school football player, the faster they're going to get, right? Like, my speed was maxing out no matter how much. I was doing my hardest. I was doing my best. I'm not getting any faster, coach. I apologize. But I do feel like there's a little something. I mean, hell, we saw Travis Kelce in the postseason last year, and every year. You see some of that fire. You see an occasional chest bump to Andy Reid, which I still think is. I'm glad we didn't get there. I guess I don't know. Did it work? I don't know. But that amount of I am watching the season turn to embers here. Yeah. Let's power this thing up. The leaders on this team. I think you want. Here's my evolution on all of this, okay? I think you want level-headed leaders and a few psychos. And now look, like Tyrann Mathieu and Frank Clark, where I say this kindly, psycho leaders. Yeah, like that's a very rare breed. This team misses, maybe not literally, but this team misses Willie Gay. Like, just in terms of, to your point, where's the juice man? Yeah. And you have a lot of these young players who are obviously, the guys who don't have rings are in small roles. They don't have the full trust of the coaching staff. And you do not want to be the new guy in a championship organization who comes in and says, I got a few ideas about how we should do things around here. That's an unreasonable place to put Noel Williams. You know what I mean? Like, he's just trying to get consistent work right now. Yeah. But I do think that's kind of a fascinating evolution of this when you're like, in your free agent signings are Jerry Tillery and Christian Fulton and Elijah Mitchell, guys who either play very little or not at all, and you don't have the sort of hungry dog thing. Again, I think when you're talking about all these intangibles of a few more mistakes or a little more focus or whatever it is, again, roll that into the fact that they've played more football games these last 3 years than anybody, more than anybody ever. Because even like the Bills going back 4 times, they weren't playing 17 regular season games. The Chiefs have literally played the maximum amount of football that you can play over these last 3 years.
100%.
And by the way, Travis Kelce's not getting any fewer snaps. Chris Jones not getting any fewer snaps. Those dudes are out there. I think it's 2 games in a row now of Kelce at 91% of the snap count or something. I tweeted it out earlier. He's played 202 snaps the last 3 games, and he's averaging like 90% of the workload there. And then you have a guy like Noah Gray, who I personally love, who has a terrible game yesterday. And how can you? Well, go ahead. We'll sit Trav down on this third down because we think Noah Gray can do some of these things. You have all of these instances where you're either relying on guys to step up who haven't been in that situation before, or it's the same guys kind of going through the motions, not because they're not invested and not because they don't care. Because I also buck against that. Like, they're not working any fewer hours. Andy Reid's not putting in half days, and that's not the reason the offense is stale, is because he's just faxing everything. He's doing all of this on Fiverr this year. Like, that's not the problem. But there is a problem, and that's evident. So, with all of that stage setting, go listen to that football show. It's really, really good. I haven't gotten through all of it because this show started, but the first like 15 minutes in particular are relevant to what I want to talk about here a little bit. Shout out Esa Pole.
Absolutely.
I don't know if he's a starting tackle in the NFL. I don't even frankly know if he's going to be one of those guys that when a team is preparing for him, they're going to pick him apart and the Chiefs are not going to do as much, try to move the pocket and save everything and all of that. I'm not putting him in Canton just yet. But Esa Pole got one play of standing on the sidelines before he was essentially this team's starting left tackle against the best defense in the NFL and the best pass rush in the NFL. And he held his damn own. That's impressive under any circumstances. I think Verderam said, if Josh Simmons had that game, you'd tip your hat to him. So I'm going to give him that credit. You know where Esapole was like a month ago? He was a New York Jet.
Yeah.
He was in training camp with the Chiefs and they cut him. And the Jets pick him up and they cut him. And then he shows up here and he has a better day than Jalen Moore or Mike Caliendo. And you go, wait a second. Excuse me? I don't know that Wanya Morris would have had that game. So what happens there? Mike Pennell gets cut at training camp. You bring him back, and he's playing the same ratio of snaps of Derek Nottie, who they traded for, and Jerry Tillery, who they signed early in the offseason. Those guys are all playing the same snap splits, a few snaps apart. They cut one of those guys, they traded for another one, they signed one, not a bunch of money for Jerry Tillery, but like that was an early signing. Shamari Connor and Nick Bolton just play 100% of the snaps, no matter what. They're just out there every snap as the default. Mike Edwards played 37 snaps in this game. Jaden Hicks played 11. By the way, the Chiefs defense was excellent in this game. None of this is a Spags thing for me right now. Was Mike Edwards doing more for the defense than Jaden Hicks? I don't know. Noah Williams seems good. Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe we're all dumb, but Noah Williams seems pretty good at football. Perfect? No. He had that holding penalty, man. I should have been 15 yards.
Yeah.
That's a joke, because that call was Garbo. They really seem to like Mike Caliendo. He seems like a nice guy. He talked after the game on Thanksgiving. I appreciated that. They talk about treating him like a starter. He's their sixth lineman, where you definitely want to have a little bit of agility and ability to do some things in space. I wouldn't mind having one backup guard who's just a sumo wrestler. Just like one massive, like a early 2000s guard with a neck, not the neck roll. What's the
cowboy collar?
The cowboy collar. Mm-hmm. I don't think that would even work. I think you have to have your head up. I want a guard with a cowboy collar in 2025. And then there's Brashard Smith. And this is my last one. This is my last thing. Brashard Smith had that little 7-yard toss where he looked fast. He looked like he was gliding. It wasn't a game-breaking play, but he took a toss for 7 yards. That's weird. I haven't seen him touch the ball yet today, right? I wonder if we're going to see him more. Brashard Smith picked up 7 yards on that toss play, and you know when he got his next touch? Maybe next week. Yeah. You know how many snaps he played on offense? You remember the toss play? He played 4 more than that. 5 snaps. It's very easy to pull up on NFL Pro, so I did it this morning. You just look at Brashard Smith snaps, you skip 2 special team snaps, and then all you have is 5 to watch. Mm-hmm. Snap 1, he was the outside wide receiver on Mahomes' pass batted back to himself. Snap 2, a little light play action, nothing real. Out of the backfield, in shotgun, he runs a deep route. It's a drop from Noah Gray. Third play for Brashard Smith, shotgun, Smith's behind Mahomes, Hunt is left of Mahomes, that's the play action to Hunt, left to right, toss to Smith, reads the blocks well, looks alive, some juice from the running back room, 7 yards. Next play that Brashard Smith's in, starts in shotgun, left of Mahomes. He motions out of the backfield pre-snap, he's a receiver. Mahomes throws it towards him in the flat, but like super short under pressure. It was more of like this way, it's not grounding, more than it was an actual near completion. Fifth play, Smith's right of Mahomes in shotgun. He just runs her out of the backfield. Had some space. Nothing wild. Mahomes scrambled to the 2-yard line on that play. That was Brashard Smith's entire day. I know that he doesn't know the entire offense. I know that he doesn't know all of the pass pro. I know that he won't know the entire offense until 2028. I'm not even being like facetious. I don't expect, and as things stand right now, I do not expect newcomers to have very large roles in, frankly, anywhere on this team except maybe special teams.
Yeah.
And even then. But if one guy has given you a little bit of juice in a certain role, can you not force feed him into that role? Can you not tailor what you want him to do for him? To simplify that a little bit, and that's true for him. It's true for Tyquan Thornton, who I know they don't apparently like as much as they like Juju Smith-Schuster, or Hollywood Brown for that matter. And Thornton might have had a chance on that touchdown. I mean, it was a good play by the defender, but Dane and Hughes on the Chiefs Radio Network radio broadcast, he said, hey, look, if you go basically basket catch that, you can shield off the defensive back with your body, and then maybe that's a touchdown. I thought that was a good insight upon watching the replay. Thinking, that's true. I mean, by the way you approach it, I get it. But it was a great defensive play, and Thornton was there.
Sure.
And he's made a lot of those plays this year. It's maybe another reason that it does feel kind of stale and repetitive, because it's the same guys in the same roles. And Kareem Hunt deserves a ton of credit for what he's done these last 2 years. What does this running game look like if he doesn't make the comeback last year?
Wow.
What world are we in then? And I guess it's probably Clyde Edwards-Helaire, maybe Carson Steele. So those are my somewhat limited personnel general usage takes that aren't specific necessarily to Chiefs Texans, but so many of those feel really emblematic of conversations we've had 10 times this year.
What is so interesting to me is a lot of times when you talk about good coaches, I don't want people to hear this and hear me think that I'm calling Andy Reid a bad coach, right? This is just like a general, like when you talk about a good football coach, usually you hear people talk about that they are very detail oriented, right? They are very attuned to the details.
Andy Reid gets that all the time. I mean,
yes. Which, like, side note, by the way, this team has a lot of like mental errors and like details that they didn't really have when Eric Bieniemy was the offensive coordinator.
Also, some different assistant coaches since then too, for whatever position coaches, whatever that's worth.
So I think that's don't hear this as me saying like, hey, bring Eric Bieniemy back, but like that's not nothing. We now have 3 years of sample size.
And Andy Reid is not going to personally count every step that Xavier Worthy takes. That's why you have a coaching staff. So I think there is something to like. I think you can have your questions about Andy Reid's year without it really being about Andy Reid. Anyway,
for sure, that was one of the things. Like I don't want people to hear me say like, oh, bring in Eric Bieniemy. I don't think that's what they need. They don't need that. They need somebody who's detail oriented. They need some position coaches who are detail oriented, some coordinators who are detail oriented on the offensive side of the ball. But my main part comes down to. I'll localize this here a little bit, Josh. This is a really good localization here of me. One of the things that I was wildly impressed by Missouri high school football state championships were this past weekend. Lee Summit started the season 0-4 and ended up winning the state championship. First team ever. First team ever to be able to do that. Shout out to Tigers. Shout out the Lee Summit Tigers. They got things done. They had to make some changes. They had some injuries. They lost some guys at their quarterback. So they said, this is what this coach said. He said we had to go to CoachTube. We had to buy some stuff on CoachTube. We had to completely revamp our offense because they had to coach to the players that they had, not to the scheme that they had. That I find interesting when we talk about how the Brashard Smith thing. You talk about Xavier Worthy. You talk about Rashee Rice. These are all very good football players.
Yeah.
That they're trying to fit into a scheme and not scheming for the players. Right. Now, again, I don't want people to hear this and be like, I'm saying that Andy Reid's a bad football coach, right? I think it's interesting how these really good football players seemingly are really good some weeks in this scheme, and some weeks they just can't even find the field in this scheme, right? And I think it's something that I keep thinking about recently about, when we talk about a good football coach, it's like, hey, they coach to their players' strength. They don't coach to a certain scheme, certain concept, everything like that. I don't know if that just applies to the high school football level. I wouldn't assume so. Or the college football level. I wouldn't assume so. I would think it goes all the way to the top. But
and we've seen the Chiefs be good at that.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of the other things. Where like Andy Reid right now is very different than Andy Reid in Philadelphia. Andy Reid with Patrick Mahomes is different than Andy Reid with Alex Smith. Like, we actually have seen that evolve. It just hasn't been enough this season. And I think that's the thing that it does. Again, it's not absolute. It's not that they never do that. It's that this year I just don't think they've done it enough. I think they're telling you that. I think when Andy Reid says we got to put the guys in better positions or whatever it is, that's about calling things that suit those players' strengths. And again, I also really hesitate to say anything that feels like overly critical in the context of the last decade of football that I've watched. But I also think that at 6 and 7, that's a little bit allowed. Like, you can acknowledge, as they've acknowledged, this isn't where they want to be. I'd say we're going to do something more fun after a quick break, but I mean, it's going to be more sadness, just maybe the kind of sadness that makes you feel a little less alone. We'll do sad Chiefs fans next.
Missouri, your moment is finally here because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is now live in your state. Now you can make every game even more exciting with same-game parlays, money lines, props, and more, all from your phone, all safe, secure, and easy to use. Missouri fans know game day. The tailgates, the noise, the passion. Now with DraftKings Sportsbook, you can bring that same energy to every snap, every touchdown, every win. And right now, new Missouri customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. No waiting, no nonsense, just pure action powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code KCSN. New Missouri customers bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. That's code KCSN. The crown is yours. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
I'll make one final clarifying point, just for the sake of a quick glance at the chat. None of this is particularly absolute, and there are 100 things that have gone wrong this season. We can only talk about so many. I'm just going, don't want to windmill dunk on anybody, but the comment of, it seems like Kelsey giving the ball to the Texans wasn't scheme. It seems like he bleeped the bet on a play he's made 264 times in the past. That's interesting, because I started this show by talking about the drops. It's both. It's everything. It's all of it. Ah!
That's what makes this year so frustrating, right? Is there's not one thing that we can just say like, oh yeah, this is the reason why they suck.
Right.
That's what makes this team so absolutely maddening and gives you zero excitement for the years coming up. Is that there's not one thing you'd be like, okay, yeah, if they just draft a running back, they'll be good. If they just sign a running back, they'll be good. No, it's not. They can't. There's no one fix. They got to fix a lot of shit.
Also, Breece Hall doesn't change this offense in a meaningful way. They're 6-7 with Breece Hall. I believe that wholeheartedly. I'm very glad they have their third round pick.
Breece Hall would be sitting on the sideline when we'd be begging for Breece Hall to carry the football because he doesn't know the system yet.
Yep. Okay, well, let's lift our spirits by lowering our spirits. Beards McFly is back in the booth. He is the originator of this tradition that was so much more fun when the Chiefs were winning most of their games, if not virtually all of their games. Yeah. But they're 6-7, and they have lost to the Houston Texans. Beards goes through the depths of Reddit and other social media sites, and he finds the soul of sad fans of losing teams. And today, it's another Chiefs edition. So without further ado, here is Beards McFly's Sad Fans.
Hi. Who's ready for some f***ing sad fans?
Hi, Beards.
Andy is aware that tonsil tickling just means right? If the Chiefs were a college team, they would have turned down a bowl game by now. Somebody did that devil magic to get through last season, and that is coming back like a son of a bitch. Are my tonsils supposed to be tingled by the short game that we have seen for 3 years now? Hey, look, another play that had no shot. Has there ever been an undrafted free agent rookie left tackle buried on the depth chart who got a chance due to injury and was immediately a Hall of Fame level guy? Because I need to know if I'm hoping for too much here. I think I'm being pretty reasonable. I must say, my tonsils have not been sufficiently titillated. The assist was incorrect might be the best way to describe the current state of the NFL in one sentence.
That's true.
My throat is ready. So far, Houston penalties are our only effective defense. 3rd and 17, and we go with a wide receiver screen. Drink, there's your once-a-game failed interception. Just addicted to giving up 3rd and long one way or another. Please, put us out of our misery. Did anybody else see that stat that Myles Garrett had more sacks on the season than the entire Chiefs defensive line? LOL. This touchdown brought to you by one of the shittiest holding calls you have ever seen. Best defensive practice in 7 years, my ass. At this rate, Chiefs-Broncos Christmas night game is going to get flexed off Amazon Prime to Corncob TV. It hurts to watch this game, like physically, mentally, emotionally. Comment. So tired of the teams looking f***ing amazing against us. Reply. I'd say if all the teams look amazing against us, then we're the team. Maybe the Texans are just the greatest team of all time? Comment. Honestly, watch us go 97 yards here only to get stuffed at the goal line. Reply. Or like 72 yards and Harrison shanks it. Oh, wow, Tyquan Thornton caught it. Maybe we should use him more. Is Gray sponsored by some butter or lubricant company? Doink. Butker belongs in the motherfucking kitchen. Holy man, you had one fucking job. Our receivers couldn't separate from parking cones. And if they can, they drop it. Fucking hell. 3rd and 16, and you just knew. My tonsils are being tickled. Please help. I'm so excited for stress-free Chiefs ball. The old days. Matt Nagy, you are under arrest for domestic football terrorism. My tonsils are being tickled by the puke coming up my esophagus. I hope Mahomes gives everyone a spanking at halftime. It's really cold! Day 682 of wanting to see Xavier Worthy run past somebody. I bet the team is all fired up because Andy showed them the trailer for Avatar at halftime. Hit him right in the face mask with backup offensive tackles. This really is a Super Bowl game. Appreciate you, Collinsworth, but please stop talking about a helicopter coming to take my quarterback. What in the good Lord's name? All of that to give up a 3rd and 16. Come on, Texans, get us good draft picks. We are trying to lose, just not so bad that we lose fan revenue. 6 and 7 is the record. Fa la 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 la. Is the season for a losing record. Fa la 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 la. I want a tonsillectomy if this is the tickling that was promised. Where is our Lord and Savior Tyquan? I think Andy Reid doesn't want to make the playoffs. He must have hotel reservations somewhere. My tonsils are thoroughly tickled. Parentheses, due to the barrel of my gun. Comment. Fire everyone and chop Rasheed's hands off. Reply. I didn't know he had hands. I'd be willing to sign the slowest wide receiver in the history of the NFL if he can catch 100% of the passes that hit him in the hands. We're about to blow another must-win game because we can't do the fundamentals like f***ing catching the f***ing ball. Pardon my French, everyone. I want a big f***ing wide receiver one. I think I'm just going to trip over my own dick in solidarity with the Chiefs. Jesus, tap dancing Christ. Can anyone catch a f***ing ball? Nobody deserves to eat. That's a wrap. Night all. Doom triumphs again. Tonsil tickling may cause vomiting. We're just off a tick. We'll definitely tonsil them next game. Andy Reid to the postgame. 6-7. And now, the runner-up. Andy Reid is so lost that he might discover the USA again. And now, the one thing that didn't make it from the opposing team. And now, the winner. If you can call it that. Of things said by sad Chiefs fans. Comment. Anyone's tonsils feel tickled yet? Reply. Yeah, but mostly from getting teabagged from the football gods.
I kind of just want to sit in the music for a little while. We've done an hour. Not quite. We're really close. That's Beers McFly's Sad Fans, latest Chiefs edition. The views expressed in Sad Fans, not necessarily reflective of the views of Beers McFly, Tucker D. Franklin, Joshua Brisco, everything else with Joshua Brisco, KC Sports Network, or anyone other than the Redditors and the Twitter users who said their sad things.
Yeah.
Just the legal disclaimer, just in case you're new here.
Probably should have ran that one beforehand.
I meant to, but we could do it after. That's okay.
We got caught up in the moment, you know.
There's a despair to it now, you know. A lot of times the sad fans are still funny because there's hope.
It's a hope.
Not a lot of hope in there.
It's a hope that kills you.
That's what they say.
Who said that? Did Batman say that? Who said that?
Ted Lasso, I think. We need to issue a correction. We can do it here. We don't even need to change graphics. We're not going to get to... I'm not going to talk about the freaking Christmas music I want to talk about until Easter at this rate. No, that's not true. We'll probably have some time.
Look, none of the games are going to matter for the rest of the time, so, I mean, I think we're going to be good.
That's kind of where I'm at. I got... Thank you for making the music extra sad, Beards. I appreciate it. It set the stage appropriately. So we did this show on Friday, you may remember. Oh, you did make the graphic. Fantastic.
I did make it. I was not going to use it.
This is my favorite graphic we've ever had. If you're just listening to the podcast, the graphic says, addressing the allegations. And I feel like I have no choice but to take them head on. I know there are going to be some people who are really disappointed in me and Tucker both. Yep. And I'm sorry to those of you who we've let down because of our actions. Because after Friday's show, I got a text from my brother-in-law, Ryan, who is an accountant, by the way.
Wow.
He said, a couple quick things from listening to everything else on my way home. Accounting absolutely does involve sitting in front of a computer all day. And I'm sure you've already realized this, but if not, 53 plus 17 is not 90. I had to ask him where we said that.
True.
And then he reminded me. When we were talking about roster size, I think you said something about a 90-man roster. Isn't that a 90-man roster? And I jumped in so excitedly to say, yes, Tucker, the NFL actually has a 90-man roster because of this one weird quirk where the international pathway player can be on your practice squad as a 17th player. You have your 53-man roster and a 17-player practice squad if you have an international player. Right. Therefore, yes, Tucker, you nailed it. It's 90. 53 plus 17 is, of course, 70, according to my sources. I think what happened there was that I was really excited to talk about the round number. What I should have remembered is that if you don't have the player pathway program, it's a 69-man roster, which is nice. But also, it is a 90-man, I think not including the international player, in the offseason and through training camp. Yep. It's 90. Then you have your cut downs, and 20 end up being like completely, released. That's why you have, let me do some quick math here. Certainly I've earned the right. Why you have 640 players every year who just get cut at cut downs and don't have anywhere to go. That's 32 times 20, I think. 640. The other thing, by the way, don't think you're all getting off easy. All you giggling in the comments, you watching now going, ha ha ha, what a bunch of dummies. You know who I didn't get a correction from? Any of you! I didn't see a single person in the chat go, excuse me, fellas, appreciate it. Good show and all, but 53 plus 17 is 70, not 90. Nobody caught it! And if that is the most egregious error that we have on this show, I will count that as a victory. but I just was really eating at me. Really wanted to address the allegations that we don't know math or roster sizes, and most of the time I'm pretty good at short, small addition problems. I think I've talked about this before. My alarm every morning, before it will turn off, I have to do some quick addition because it's the only way that I won't just hit off and then fall back asleep. I've been doing that for years now. It works pretty well. But thankfully, this morning I didn't wake up and it said, what's 53 plus 17? Because apparently I would have just typed 90 over and over until eventually my phone died. Tucker, do you have anything to say for yourself on the math front? I think this is my mistake more than yours, but I just want to give you a chance to also address the allegations.
I share some of the blame because I, much like the chat, didn't stop you and be like, hang on a second. That's not right. But my brain was not where it needed to be, and I've never claimed to be a math magician, so I do share some of the blame. Look, really, Josh, what it comes down to is we were just so close, and we were just a tick off.
We were,
and we had some things rolling. We had some things rolling. We just needed to keep those things rolling, and we're close. And we just have to keep things rolling, and we're close.
I think we've got to clean a couple things up, and right. By the way that I just did 32 times 20, I didn't pop it into a little calculator and make sure because I am terrified of all that. 640. I do think we are going to do a much more careful job of doing math the rest of the way. Not meth. Those allegations are false. Those allegations are truly false. I just red zone. And, well, let's go ahead and end today's show. Thanks again to KC Cannabis Company. Check them out online at kccannabis.com. Their 12 days of deals for 12 days of Christmas. Gonna be incredible. And that is gonna do it for us here. I will actually say in my final thought, and Tucker, if you've got anything else, you're welcome to share as well. But this show's continuing at the same cadence we've been doing it, Mondays and Fridays, noon to 1-ish, or until we get bored and have talked about everything we want to talk about. We'll eventually talk about Christmas music. We will eventually have more time for everything else, as there is less and less Kansas City Chiefs. But there's still some football to be played. They actually still have playoff chances, and we'll find out if anything can restore the vibes between now and Friday. I'll forage for what I can, but ultimately, I think that does it from me. Tucker, anything else from you?
I got nothing.
You've given plenty. You've given so much. Between the post-game show and that football show and here again today, you are a core four, all three phases, an absolute dog mentality that we discussed earlier. Tucker brings that to the table.
Someone's
I bring, what was that?
Someone's got to be.
Someone, and you're that man. Someone, when that call is made, you're the one that's going to pick up. And I'll be here, trying to do math in my head, failing more often than not, and saying goodbye to my mom. Bye, Mom. Thanks for hanging out today, everybody. We'll keep doing this. Fun to hang out.
Yeah.
It's more fun when the Chiefs win, but
I think I need to take a nap.
yeah, for sure. We all do. Long nap. Like until, when's the new league year open? Mid-March?
Yeah, like March 14th or something like that. I don't think they actually have the date out yet, but yeah.
I know I'm sick because just like a tiny bit of me wants to open the Spot Track page and start doing some contract math. Not yet. Not yet. Not before Christmas.
March 12th.
Go Birds.